Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Out of Boston here. Today I'm back for episode number 26 of my Tampa Bay Rays Let's Play series here on Out of the Park Baseball 18. So today we're back mid-season point. This is season number 6 now we're going on, I do believe. Yes, it is. And this is 2022. So we're back right before the first year player draft. And it's not been a good year for us so far. We're 4 games under 500. 4 games back in the division, and kind of unlike last year when we started off slow, things don't really look like they are going to get any better based on our run differential, the Pythagorean win-loss. That was always the thing with us last year, was we had the good run differential. It seemed that we had gotten pretty unlucky, and, I was at one point, pretty convinced on selling despite that last year at the deadline, because I recognize that with a team like Tampa Bay, you have to be very careful with decisions like that and really, maximize what you're able to do with the limited money that you have. But luckily, because of the success we've had making 2 World Series in 3 years, our payroll and our budget has increased a lot. So, I think we were in a good position to take a chance on, trying to make another run, and we made it all the way to the World Series. It turned out to be the right decision. We made that one nice move for Matt Carpenter to kind of bolster our offense a little bit, our lineup. But this year, things have just not gone as well for us. 4 games under 500, like I said. Pitching has been a big problem. De Leon has not looked good. He has not built off of what he did in the postseason last year, which I was really looking for. Faedo has been okay as a starter, but not as good as expected. I think we all kind of thought he was going to step right in and be like a quality number 3, number 4 starter for us, and he just hasn't been that this year. Honeywell has not been as good. The strikeouts have been down for him, which is not a good sign. Snell has been very good. He's pretty much been the one guy who's been good for us, and then even Sale has not pitched well, but peripherals on him are pretty good. He should get better as the year goes on. I'm not worried about him in the slightest, really. And then as for the lineup has been the big thing because we're 13th in the AL in runs scored. Actually second in runs against, which isn't bad. But the offense has just not been there. Let's look at position players by WAR. And it's the usual suspects that are providing the little bit of offense that we have gotten so far in Bell and Bowers. But after that, Rojas has been a below league average hitter according to WRC+. Ramiro Rodriguez has been good, playing every day now. He's got 21 steals too. That's pretty cool. Don't usually have a big steals guy. Rizzo's only got a 103 WRC+. He just hasn't hit for power yet this year, and just he hasn't really been that good. And other than that, we don't have any above average hitters. We've got some pretty serious holes with Kiermaier's on the DL. That's why Rodriguez is playing every day. But we've got that DH spot that we just really haven't had any good production at. This Olmedo Barrera guy hasn't filled in. And then Santander, whoever, I don't know how you say this guy's name, but I claimed him off waivers, and he hasn't really been that good. Shortstop has been pretty much a disaster. Yaisen Koka hasn't really filled in at all, and Urena is still Urena. I mean, we know what he is at this point. He's probably better off as a bench bat. Jose Ramirez has not really done what he usually does. I mean, he's pretty much given us mostly the same production the last 2 years. Less power last year, but he's been worse than that this year. And definitely making it look like we might need an upgrade on the infield. And Andy Ibanez has not been good either. He had been solid for us in the past. So just down years out of a lot of guys offensively. It's only June, so there's still a chance we can turn it around. I mean, the trade deadline's not for 2 months, so we've got time to turn it around before we have to make a decision on are we going to be buyers or sellers or stand pat or, whatever. But definitely not the start that we wanted to get off to this year. I think that is pretty safe to say. We had much higher expectations after re-signing Anthony Rizzo and really bringing back most of the same group we had last year that took us to the World Series. And we have not played as well. But, that's baseball. Things happen. Teams are very up and down. Look at the Cubs this year. I mean, the Cubs pretty much had the same team that they had last year that they won the World Series. They won 108 games. And, by some statistics, we're actually better than a 108 win team last year. They could have won even more games had they been a little bit less unlucky. And now this year they're a 500 team, and it's due mainly to the fact that a lot of guys who were good for them last year just haven't been the same. A lot of their pitchers have taken steps back, like Arrieta and John Lackey. And then, obviously they didn't have a guy like Schwarber last year, but they thought a guy like Schwarber coming back would help offset the loss of a guy like Dexter Fowler, and Schwarber just has been a complete and utter disappointment this year. He's back in AAA now, and even other guys on the roster like Zobrist, he's been hurt, and even like Chris Bryant hasn't been as good as he was last year. So it's a lot of just guys taking steps back, but I guess the big thing with that team is you just wonder if all the innings those starters had to throw last year have kind of taken a toll, because they just do not have good starting pitching this year. Hendricks has been hurt, and he hasn't been the same guy. I don't really like any of these guys. Should I just look at the scouting reports, I guess? I kind of liked one of these starters. I think it was that guy, but this potential guy, Soto, he's an impossible guy, I think, so I could probably get him in a later round, and the scouts don't really love him, so I guess I'm going to go with Chris Vick, 6'5", corner outfielder. We'll see who falls. This Andy Armster fell, so I'm going to get him next. And then there's the two impossible guys. Then Josh Pace. The scouts like. So I guess we'll draft him. I hadn't even really been paying that close attention. I was going on a Cubs rant. But, it's one of the reasons I like making these kind of videos is to sprinkle in the occasional IRL baseball commentary. I used to do that on the Road to the Show videos a lot, but I don't play Road to the Show that much anymore. Let's get the catcher. Always good to have good catching depth. And should we just get this Josh Kelly? He's got good power. And we haven't... we actually have a lot of money to spend on the draft this year. We really did not spend as much on the team as we could have this year, so we have a lot of money to spend. If we think there's a really good international free agent, we're gonna have no problem getting the $5 million to spend on him. And we could have taken more chances in the draft if we wanted to, but the big thing is we're not gonna have to worry. We're gonna be in a position to absorb a big contract if we want to. When it comes to the trade deadline, we can actually absorb multiple big contracts with the money that we have, and the fact that you only have to pay pretty much half of what their season salary is, even less than half their total season salary if you get them at the trade deadline. So anyway, I'm going to skip forward to right around July 1st. All right, so it is July 2nd, the start of the international amateur free agent signing period. So we are playing a little bit better now, up to 40-40. We were actually 2 games above 500 before losing our last 2, but we had won a couple in a row and something like 5 of 6. I think 5 of 6, maybe even more than that, actually. Yeah, we had a nice little win streak there going for a while. I didn't even realize that was 6, I think like 6 or 7 games. I think it was a 7-game streak, and then we won 9 of 10. So we've been playing a lot better. Our pitching has gotten better. Just look at these guys' numbers. They've all pretty much gone down. And we've got Tyler Alexander now in there making starts after Jose De Leon got hurt. This is actually going to be his first start. Buck Farmer got the first start in place of De Leon. And De Leon just had a day-to-day injury, but he had been struggling. I was kind of waiting to find some reason to put him on the DL so I could get some other guys some starts. And Farmer tried to step in, didn't really do too well, so we've got Alexander in there. And really, the back end of this bullpen has been a complete revolving door. This is really where we got to fix the team. We just don't have any good relievers, really, except for Zach Birdie. Rivero's been okay, and literally, other than that, it's been nothing. I mean, we're pretty much trying everything. I got Faria back up now, and this guy's been insane in real life so far. He's off to an amazing start with Tampa Bay. I think he's got like a 2.83 FIP and a 2.3 ERA or 2.23 ERA through his first 5 starts. Something like 35 strikeouts to 5 walks, and I think he's given up 3 home runs. So he's been really, really good. But we've definitely identified the areas where we can upgrade this team. The offense still kind of struggling, but Bowers has gotten hot at least. Still the only 14th in runs scored. So that's really going to be what we need to go after when trade season opens up. Really, we could even start thinking about doing that now. I completely forgot to negotiate with my draftees. This is the only guy we got to offer, though. Let's offer him 325. And then the rest of these guys don't care about. But this is what we really care about, international amateurs. And yes, I was really hoping there would be someone worth going after this year, and there does appear to be. This guy looks like he's going to be a pretty awesome hitter. 80 grade or 75 grade power. He's looking for the full $5 million, and luckily this is the year where we really can afford to do this kind of contract with a guy and not have to worry about it affecting our major league team too much this year. So this is the perfect kind of year for this. The timing really worked out well. We pretty much got. I mean, it's kind of a luck thing. Would have been a little unlucky if it didn't work out, but consider it a little lucky because it did work out this year. We're going to re-sign Matthew Silverman. And who was the other guy? Pitching coach, who has been very good. Yeah, let's offer him an extension. He's seeming to do a very good job with us this year now. ERA was a little high last year, but it's pretty good in the first year, that 104 win year. So we're going to keep going with him. Now we've lost 3 in a row. I might just talk over the simulation here for a couple of weeks. Kiermaier just got hurt again. Are you serious? Dude, this is so... Oh, man, and he's not even now he's listed as fragile. He gets hurt so much. It's very, very annoying. And his ratings are starting to go down. He's 32 now, and he's a free agent after next year. So he is definitely going to quickly become a trade candidate. He's got a sprained knee. It's moderate. I know that if I'm going to try and have him play through it, but I know he's just going to get hurt even worse. So probably not a good idea doing this, but we really need to get hot soon because we're 41-41 halfway through the year. Oh, yes, this guy signed. Sweet, Luis Reyna. Hopefully he works out better than Yason Sabalo, the catcher we signed in year 1. New York is starting to pull away a little bit. They've won 7 of their last 10. They've only picked up a game on us in that span, but 45-36 now. They're playing good baseball. We've got a series against them here. We really need to not lose this series. It's at home, too, and we've already lost the first 2 games. So not good stuff out of us right now. Curious to see what our run differential is, but I don't think it's going to have changed very much. Wow, we get swept by the Yankees. And it's still the offense, man. It's just, I don't know. I guess we got to, if we're going to be buyers, we got to go out and really think about making a trade now. Look at our infielders. Our infield is just so bad. And Kiermaier has not hit at all this year when he's played. Oh, man. So I don't, it's going to be tough. We have to go out. We would have to go out and get like an entirely new offense. Literally replace there are legitimately 4 spots that we would think about needing. Like one of these, we can put Bowers back at left field, but DH and all 3 infield spots need to be upgraded. And that's before we even talk about the down year Rizzo was having. And Rojas just has not been good. We had that opportunity. You look at how Rojas and Bryant Rojas and Rizzo are doing, and you really think about, should I have signed Buster Posey instead? Which I was going to do before the market on Rizzo kind of came back down. And once I had an opportunity to, I said, well, let's just re-sign Rizzo. We've gone to 2 World Series in 3 years with Rizzo and that kind of core group, and I got a little bit sentimental, maybe a little bit emotional. I didn't really want to break up that group, which I would have felt like I was doing if I had gotten rid of Rizzo, even if I had swapped him for Posey, but... Anyway, we had good offers out there for Rojas. So here are the All-Star Game rosters. Let's see who made it for us. Chris Sale, who is really picking it up now. He's up to 4.5 WAR. So he's having a good year FIP-wise, I bet. Which means he could really be in line for a good second half. That's something interesting to watch out for. If he really got hot for us in the second half, that would be huge. Blake Snell, especially if he got hot going into the postseason. And if we made it, that would be really big. We've got 3 pitchers in the All-Star Game, which is nice. But I've already talked about the rest of that bullpen really needing an upgrade. And then Bowers and Josh Bell make it. So that's 5 All-Stars. But really, after the 5, that's pretty much... After the 5 All-Stars on this roster, it's such a big drop-off. That's the problem. Look at that. After these 2 guys, it's Rojas, and then you don't even have a guy who's been worth 1 win this year. And then pitching-wise, I bet it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, after... Well, Honeywell's been good, too. Can't fault Honeywell. But then it's Faito, and then in the bullpen, there's really nothing after Birdie. Literally nothing. So, legitimately with what we're going to be able to trade for, it's got to be 2 infielders, maybe a 3rd position player, or a guy we think we can fill in at one of those spots, and a zillion relievers. Just going to try and we're going to be trying to get relievers out of the wazoo pretty much. And I really got to start, I'm going to start doing those kind of trades now, but... The fact that we're still right around 500, what's that second wildcard spot? It's Kansas City right now. We're 4 back of that. So I really think we could get hot, and I'm going to start looking around for those kind of trades at this point. All right, so I already found a pretty sound trade here to do with the San Francisco Giants, a team that has had a lot of disappointing years out of guys. 2 guys specifically, actually, who were picking up in this trade. And yeah, 2 guys who really haven't been good this year, but... Cespedes, who is in the last year of his contract, he makes a lot of money, but, like I said, we have He's going to make about, I want to say like 8 million rest of the way this year, maybe like 9 million, closer to 9 million. And, you know, that's affordable for us. He's been a good hitter the last couple of years, really struggled this year, but our scouts still think highly of him. 36 years old in the last year of his deal. Still plays a very good left field, too, which is nice to have. And then Kyle Seager, a guy who's got 1 year left on his deal. It's a player option. He makes quite a bit of money, but we're getting San Francisco to eat most of the money on this contract, such that this is a pretty affordable deal for us. And he's a guy who can fill in the infield. That's a need for us. Plays in a solid third base, pretty average, I guess. Nothing too spectacular, but anyway, he makes 16.4 million, but we're getting them to retain 75%, so he will only make 4.1 with us next year, and I don't know what that is the rest of the way this year. I guess it's 4.1 divided by like pretty much in half, because we're about halfway through the year, so like about 2 million, a little over halfway, so 2 million. I think our available money drops by 10, so we got to pay probably like 8.5 to Cespedes, and like 2.5 to Seager rest of the way this year. We're giving up Yaisen Sabalo, the guy who I mentioned before. Really been a disappointment for us, and at this point, look, if we can sell high on him, or not really sell high, but pretty much it looks like he's going to be a bust. You can see the personality is not good. So get rid of him while he still has value. And then this guy, whoops-a-daisies. This guy is pretty much just a depth 4A player, former 9th round pick in the same draft as Sabalo. So this is a pretty no-brainer trade for us, I think. Seager's, he's one of the, I think his personality is that he's a leader in the clubhouse, so that'll be a good guy to have. Nothing can ever go wrong with those kind of guys. So let's just get rid of Coca, I think, honestly, even though he's, well, I don't know, because he is good defensively, and he is that leader in the clubhouse kind of guy. He'd be sort of perfect as that depth infielder instead of Urena, so maybe we'll send Urena down, but I'll also shop him and see if he's worth anything at all on the market. Anything worth getting, that is. Doesn't really appear so. Smolinski. Yeah, alright. So, I mean, honestly, though, those were the kind of guys I was getting offered when I did that with Sabalo, and I was able to deal him for Cespedes. I could have done that 1-for-1, actually. And then I could have gotten Seager as a throw-in for that if I hadn't asked them to eat money, but obviously I was going to ask them to do that. So let's, honestly, I think Ibanez might be the guy to send down instead of, because Ramirez, we can move to second base, even though he's not as good there. And Urena has been solid, so I don't really want to send him down, because he's been fine, actually. And Coca, he's a Rule 5 pick, so I don't want to lose him, because he could be solid too. I mean, I think he could still be an everyday player at some point. So yeah, I think we're gonna send down Ibanez. He's out of options though, so maybe we got to shop him around. Maybe we can find a quick trade for him. He does hold a little bit of value around the league, I think. But he's 29 at this point. I think we all know he's not going to be anything. I already saw a couple half decent offers though for him. Maybe not. Maybe guys weren't good anymore. Ryan O'Hearn. He makes 4.7 million. Could be help at that DH spot, but we don't really need it. We've got Cespedes. I guess we're gonna have Bowers DH now, and we'll have Ramiro Rodriguez as the 4th outfielder. So we don't really need another outfielder. Edwin Rios, this guy maybe would help. He can only play first and third base though, so that actually doesn't really help. And then Joe Dunand, this guy could play other infield spots potentially. So he might be an option. What's his scouting report? Slightly above average hitting ability. Seems like he'd be more of a backup type player long term. But honestly, we are kind of looking for anything that can help fill in at this point. I don't like that guy's chances of being able to play up the middle. Ronald Guzman, we don't really need. Did we have him? Did we trade him? No. That guy looks familiar for some reason. I don't know why, but let's see. Kyle Wright. This was the team with a couple starters. Ooh, yeah, this guy would be. He could be a solid starter. Scouts don't like him either, but I think for Andy Ibanez, I would take my chance on that guy. 26 years old. Seems like he'd be a better option than Jake Thompson. Although Thompson, actually. Yeah, someone pointed this out. Someone had said Thompson had made 40. They had seen this. Yeah, he made 40 starts and then 38 this year. What is that? That is weird. Does he have good? He doesn't even have that good stamina. I don't understand what that's about. That is weird, though. Someone pointed that out in the comments section at one point, and I completely missed that, but interesting stuff. So, all right, we deal Ibanez. Now we can activate Seager. Probably send right to the minor leagues, and we're going to send probably this Troy Stokes to the minor leagues. We claimed him off of waivers. So we fill a couple of those spots that we had been talking about with the acquisitions of Cespedes and Seager. So I think now the primary focus has got to be the bullpen, but still definitely, hold on, let's just do this. Still definitely, we could still definitely get one more infielder easily. Was Seager's not even playing every day? Seriously? Oh, man. All right, we got to lock him in to third base, then unlock Ramirez into second base, I guess. Hopefully it'll be Coca or Urena. And honestly, I want to be starting Urena at shortstop. I'm going to lock all those guys in, I think, just so that it forces Coca to be the backup. But if they want to play Coca, like, as kind of that utility infielder, he might make like 3 starts a week. Potentially give each guy a spot once a week. I think that would be kind of the perfect way to manage this infield. But, all right, so Ramirez, we're going to lock in at second base. Seager, third base. I'm really glad someone told me how to do this because it used to be very annoying to have to manage around that. But I do like having the manager. Like, I do like only being the GM. It just makes it so much quicker. I don't have to micromanage the team on a day-to-day basis. But all right, so now they're not even starting. I don't know if I had locking that in that makes them start every game pretty much, unless they're just super tired. Man, Rizzo has been so bad. That's really annoying. Like, why? Why is he bad now? His ratings are still good. His BABIP is super low. I guess we could count on him maybe getting hot in the second half, maybe. But who knows? We still, I'm fine doing that trade when we did it. That trade we just made, because that pretty much cost us nothing. Even if we don't make the playoffs, it's not really like, at least we have Seager for next year. Holy crap, Farmer's been so bad. Send him back down as we activate De Leon. Stokes we can send to AAA. But even if we don't make the playoffs, it's not really like either of those catchers that we traded were. I doubt either of those guys would have ever even made it onto the 40-man, to be quite honest. So pretty much no harm in doing that trade. We'll see. See how we do as we get closer to the deadline. We've still got about 10 more days. We'll see if our, what it's gonna. The obvious spot of need, as I said, is the bullpen now. So, and I guess if we found the right deal, we could trade for a starter and move Faedo back to the bullpen. But I think I'd rather just keep Faedo in the rotation at this point. He's pitching pretty well, and the offense already starting to do a little bit better. Seager has gotten hot since the trade. What's he hitting with us? He's hitting .333 with us. Look at that rejuvenate. Well, it's only been 6 games, but still, why not? Why not get excited? And Cespedes playing every day in left field. He's slugging .739, and he's got 3 home runs in the 6 games. So sometimes change. It is weird. I don't know what it is about baseball. It feels like that. This and other is so much more important in this sport than in other sports. I guess hockey is kind of, well, even in football too, because those two sports are all very much about the system you play in, and sometimes basketball. But really in baseball is not about systems, but sometimes a change of scenery, a change of team, it can kind of be random, but sometimes that really is what a player needs. And you do see it all the time in real life, and even in this game, you see it, and it's starting to happen. Look, I know it's still a very small sample, so I'm not going to get too excited, but both those guys are playing well. So we're going to put Ramirez in the DL, since he had not been playing well anyway. And we can, let's not call him up, maybe Brandon Lowe, because Lowe's ratings are looking pretty nice. And yeah, we already got rid of, I forgot we got rid of Ibanez, so we have to call up Lowe. And that's going to give Yison Coca an opportunity to start, I think, at second base. He should be the starter there over Lowe, I would think. Nice. So he's got a decent OBP, and he plays very good defense, and he runs the bases very well, so he already does those two things well. If he could hit at just even a solid clip, he would be a good player. And even if it was below solid, he could still be at least a decent shortstop. Maybe not a good one, but a 2.5 win player perhaps. He's been worth, what is he? He's been worth 0.9 so far in limited playing time. And now we are 3 games over 500. Unfortunately, New York is playing really well, apparently, because we're still 8.5 back. But at the very least, we've probably put ourselves in a good spot with the wild card. And yeah, we do have that second wild card right now, actually. But New York is just playing really well. Let's look at their team real quick. They're third in runs scored, third in runs against. So they're a legitimately good team. Yeah, 63 win run differential. So I'd say they're pretty likely to run away with the division. I think we're just too far back at this point to come back and win the division. But we won the wild card game last year. We made it all the way to the World Series. So we're just gonna have to hope we can do that again. And that's why you have a big game starter like Chris Sale is for those kind of games. So we're gonna have to bank on that. It does seem Texas. Again, it's going to be one of those AL West teams. Not Houston this year, though. It's Austin, who a couple people have been asking me about this. This is formerly the Oakland A's, and this team has been getting super lucky. They are not a 59-win team. Yeah, 55. I mean, they do not score enough to for this to sustain, I would say. And they don't really have. I look at their lineup, and they do not have good hitters. They might have guys having good years. I guess this guy might be solid, but even his hitting ratings don't really blow me away. Yeah, I mean, these guys, I don't think their lineup is very good. So I could see Texas coming. I think Austin will probably be the wild card team out of that division. I think Texas is likely to. Yeah, Texas is a good team. They don't have good pitching though. They're kind of the opposite, but their run differential is a little bit better. I think. Yeah, it is. So I think they're gonna win that division. But anyway, let's continue with the simulation. So we got a couple more days before the deadline. Maybe we'll play the first 2 games of this Boston series before we start looking at more trades for relief pitchers. But the wild card standings are very crowded. Look at this 3-way tie right now for the second wild card.